Homefront the Revolution. I have to be honest with you guys, I had a really hard time getting through this game. This was not a great start to my out of the hat gaming videos. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't hard to get through because it was difficult. It was hard because it was boring. This game has only a 12-hour campaign, but it felt like I was on it literally forever. The story was very bland, very boring, and I honestly can't even tell you what it actually was about. When I get to the story portion of this video, I'm probably going to literally Google what the story actually was. So let's take a few minutes and really dive kind of deep into Homefront the Revolution. Try to stay with me here and try to stay awake. This is going to be a sleepy first out of the hat gaming video. So the first thing in these reviews that I always want to start with mentioning are the graphics. This is a PS4 title originally, and I played it on the PS5. I mean, all in all, the only thing that I can really tell you is that the graphics weren't too bad. The violence wasn't too over the top like the old games. Looking at you, Vice City.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So there really isn't anything bad that I can actually say about the graphics. For the time this game was created, 2016, you pretty much expect these types of graphics. And that's really all I can say about this, truthfully. I mean, there isn't really much to actually say about the environments and stuff. I didn't really care much to actually take the time to look. And now for the gameplay. Oh boy, what can I say about this? Now, do you have a minute? Because this might actually take a little bit of time for me to really explain how I actually feel about the gameplay. Well, first off, simple enough, it's not the greatest. Like, probably one of the worst games I've actually ever played. It's very boring, very repetitive, as I've stated previously. Most of the time when I'm actually playing a game that I enjoy, I try to complete all the side objectives before I proceed for the story. That was not the case in this game. I was just trying to bust out the story real quick because that's how bored I was. But unfortunately, there are occasions in this game where it forces you to do the side objectives to advance with the story. And I did not really like that at all, because this game is basically an open world first-person shooter. I guess I should have, but I never really explored the map, and I never really did that because it just wasn't that great to me. I didn't really feel like I wanted to explore. As stated previously, it's got very repetitive gameplay. Like, the objective is basically to clear out all the enemies, then go to a location and hit a button. And do that about 1,000 times, and you pretty much have every side mission in this game. And then you have these subtle glitches that kind of made me laugh. Like this guy, for example. What's this guy doing with his finger? Is it an imaginary gun? I'm gonna say yes, but I will say that the AI is actually kind of smart in the game, because sometimes they will go around and actually try to flank you as the player. But that's not saying a whole lot, but it did kind of refresh the gameplay a little bit and made it a little more challenging. Oh, and you can climb over a barbed wire fence. Yeah. And another thing, I don't really think this matters a whole lot, but it's actually very hard to not kill civilians for me. Not because I'm a mean person, but because it's literally hard. The controls are a little bit wonky, and if you try to quickly take down an enemy to actually save a civilian, and if you don't hit the R3 button just right, you're gonna miss the takedown animation and miss being silent and miss not killing civilians. But from what I can tell, there's no honor system in this game. I don't think it's going to affect how you progress in the story or anything like that. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really gone on a civilian killing rampage or anything like that. I really honestly just didn't care too much to test this stuff in this game. I just wanted to get through it. Oh, and you can't swim, so don't try it. As soon as I hopped in the water, it just made me appear as if I abandoned the mission for some reason. But anyways, there is a lot that you can actually do as far as weapons and what you can unlock, but there isn't much variety. So there's only 6 weapons that you can actually choose from when you get them unlocked, and you pretty much have to purchase them all. So the choices are a pistol, a crossbow, assault rifle, pump action shotgun, battle rifle, and a rocket launcher. And you only have 3 weapons that you can actually keep on your hand, with 2 secondary weapons, and your pistol, of course, is a mandatory weapon. Now, I know there's only 6 weapons to choose from, but each weapon has its own customizable options as well. All you have to do is equip whatever weapon you want to customize, press the up on the D-pad if you are playing PS5, and it will actually give you a little menu of what you want to change. But it did like that feature of the game. That's like the only feature that actually sets it apart from other first-person shooters. But as stated before, there are a total of 6 weapons, but 5 of these weapons you can actually customize to basically make into a different weapon, and each customizable weapon has 2 different variants. Like you can turn your pistol into a submachine gun, or your crossbow into a flamethrower for some reason, or your assault rifle into a mine launcher, or your light machine gun. You can also turn your pump action shotgun into a fully automatic shotgun, and you can also turn your battle rifle into a marksman rifle or a freedom launcher, which I'm guessing is very similar to a rocket launcher, except that it has confetti. But moving on, I did want to mention that there's also a number of different types of explosives and hacks that you can actually craft and put together. It's kind of weird. Basically, hacks act kind of like an EMP, but it gives the opposite effect of an EMP. Instead of taking down all electrical items, it literally hacks the items and turns it on to do whatever you want for like a few seconds or whatever. It's kind of hard to explain, really. But one thing that I do want to mention is that this game does a poor job of explaining this to you. There was one location that I had a really hard time figuring out what to do, so I had to actually watch other YouTube videos, and even still, I thought that I was doing it wrong, and I was doing it wrong. But even the YouTube videos that I watched did not explain that the RC car explosives and the RC car hack is something that I needed. Well, I should say I needed the RC car hack, but I didn't know that I can actually basically put a hack on the RC car as well as an explosive. And all the confusion aside, there was a really weird noise that would happen when you would rub up against brick walls. Maybe I'm just being a little nitpicky at this point, but I thought it was just kind of funny to mention. This game also has some little side jobs that you can do to make some extra cash. Honestly, I didn't really mess around with this too much. And the controls do feel a little like when you want to take down someone quickly, you have to hit the L3 button just right or you'll miss it, and he'll just do some weird swipe with his knife and won't actually take down the guy until you hit it again, and then the animation of course will start. Everything else you do is very repetitive, and there are parts of the game where it requires you to take over these little areas to basically get the NPCs on your side. Like you have to basically inspire people apparently. And to do that, all you gotta do is go to a location, take out a few guys, and press square, rinse and repeat. They do vary it up slightly by giving you this little mini game to play occasionally, but it's pretty much the same thing. And that's about everything that I can actually think of as far as gameplay, so let's move on to the story. If you don't want spoilers, I don't really see why you would care. Stop watching this video right here. This is your spoiler warning. Starting with the history of this alternate universe, this is not a continuation of the original Homefront, but rather a reimagining of the premise. The story takes place in an alternate history setting in which the digital revolution of the 1970s took place in North Korea's Silicon River, rather than the Silicon Valley in North Carolina. In 1977, North Korea's communist government falls out of favor after a series of devastating floods, and Kim Il-sung reigns from office and replaced with more moderate premier Lee Dong-won. Forgive me, I am not great at pronouncing names. But as a result, the now capitalist nation of North Korea has become the most powerful and influential nation on Earth, controlled by the Apex Corporation and led by a Steve Jobs-like figure named Joe Tae-si. Meanwhile, the United States, after years of multiple conflicts in the Middle East under President George W. Bush and John McCain, is a pariah state amongst the international community, as well as suffering from massive war debt from purchasing weapon technology from Apex, and is in severe economic conditions. In 2025, the United States' economy collapses, forcing the United States of America to default on their debt to North Korea. Joe Tae-si's son uses this as a pretext to invade and occupy the country, using a backdoor installed by all Apex technology to shut down the United States' military. Although it was initially presented as an international humanitarian effort to restore stability to the United States after the economic collapse, the Koreans proceeded to strip mine the country for its natural resources, to repay the debt, and proceed to brutalize the populace in response to the national resistance movement against the occupation. This game takes place in Philadelphia in 2029, 4 years into the occupation. The New Philadelphia is a heavily policed and oppressed environment. The civilians are living in fear as the Korean People's Army patrol multiple districts in the city, aided by American collaborators led by Major Simpson. The game follows Ethan Brady, the player, a resistance member whose resistance cell is expecting a visit from Benjamin Walker, who is a leader of the national resistance amongst the KPA occupation. And of course, Brady's cell was attacked in a KPA raid, and every member of the cell except for Brady are tortured to death by the KPA. How fortunate. Walker arrives, saving Brady and killing the KPA, but ends up wounded in the fight. Brady leaves to make contact with another resistance cell, but while he's gone, the KPA raided Walker's safe house and captured him. Brady attempts to rendezvous with his new cell but is mistaken for a Korean spy. Beaten unconscious and nearly tortured by the resistance, he was saved at the last minute when his identity is established. Brady now joins the new resistance cell led by a big-hearted blue-collar Jack Parrish, and I'm gonna basically kind of skip through all the other names because no one really cares. The bottom line is we basically have to rescue Ben Walker. Wow, what a page turner. Of course, this is sarcasm. I mean, the history behind everything is actually pretty interesting, but it was delivered in kind of a poor way. I do think it's kind of weird that you're a silent protagonist and they keep asking you questions but keep answering themselves. Like, take the first encounter for instance. Dana was about to torture Brady to make him, quote, talk, but Brady can't talk because he's a silent protagonist. Maybe the game just wants you to roleplay and actually answer the questions for these people. Oh man, my head. What's going on? Hello?
Hello down there. I'm Dana.
I'm Ethan.
And you are?
Oh, I just told you my name. Maybe you didn't hear me. I'm Ethan.
Mr. Spy.
No, Ben Walker sent me.
You and I. We're gonna play a game.
Okay.
You're gonna tell me what the Norks know about us. And I'm gonna hurt you while you do it.
I'm gonna politely pass.
This game will be a lot more fun for me than you, I'm afraid.
I don't want to play a game.
Question is, will it be quick?
I can make it real quick right now and just tell you what I know. Nothing.
Or will it be really, really slow?
Your face looks weird.
Just scream as loud as you want, okay? No need to suffer in silence.
Bitch, I've been talking. I just told you my name.
Okay. Nipples first.
Oh, come on.
Hey, Dana, I hear we got company. Who is he?
Ethan Brady?
Just another spy.
Do we gotta go through this again?
Ask him a few questions.
How do you know he's a spy?
Thank you.
That's what Baker and Scazzari said.
Those two? Dana, they're dumb as shit.
Can't argue with that.
You got anything on them? Say, pal. Got some ID?
I guess you're as deaf as she is.
You got here. Ethan Brady.
That's what I've been saying.
I knew it. Walker's message said he was coming in with this guy.
Well, no one told me.
I literally just did.
Yeah, well, if I could ever find you when I need you. You'd only just joined Harvey's crew, right?
I don't really think that was the intent, but it's funny to mess around with. But the story is not compelling or engaging, and I even found myself having full-on conversations with my wife, who is playing a game behind me, which, by the way, is Hogwarts Legacy. I was playing this game while I was trying to have a conversation with my wife about Hogwarts Legacy. I didn't really keep track of the storyline at all, actually. In fact, everything in the script that I had just read, I actually read from the internet, and the link where I got this is in the description of this video. I will say that the speech at the end was pretty inspiring.
This ain't a time for words anymore. Or prayers, or hope. This is a time for action. Now, you're scared, and I get that. The Walker's gone, the Norks have got us backed into a corner, and you're looking for someone to tell you what to do, somebody to show you a way out. But I say, fuck that. If you want to be saved, you gotta save yourselves. You gotta take responsibility. You want your home back, take it. You want your life back, get it back. Pick up a gun, pick up a brick, fight with your fists, grit your teeth, get fucking furious, man. Cause this is it. This is the moment. This is our only chance. Stand with us. Stand with your sisters and your brothers. Stand with your neighbors. Just stand the fuck up. If you want out of this hell, we're gonna have to fight our way out.
And there was also one moment where there was actually a choice that you could make. But either way, the choice didn't mean anything, so I would just kill the dude, and that'd be that. Anyways, if you guys feel more compelled to read through the story or play the game, whatever, go for it. But I'm just warning you, it's pretty boring. I didn't really get into this game until the very end, pretty much. And none of the characters are memorable except for Dana, but only because of her weird looking face. A lot of you may ask me if this game is replayable. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. No, not in the slightest. Now, don't get me wrong, there are things you can do, and I am somebody that likes to go back and replay a game and collect all the missed trophies, but in this particular case, I'm probably going to just delete this from my hard drive. And that's what I did. And see, that's actually what's crazy about this game. I didn't even start having fun in this game until near the end, like the last few missions. Those were fun. After that, or before that, it sucked. So let's talk about the online mode for a second. So what is there to talk about for online? There is an online mode, and it's still active, and if you have friends, you can jump in and play with them. However, on the day that I actually tried to play this, nobody would join. There was literally no one playing this game online. There was a character creation that is a little lacking, but it's fine, I guess, especially when no one is playing it. And it looks that there are ways that you can unlock certain weapons. I'm not exactly sure how that works, except for maybe just increasing your rank. You can also unlock some clothing items as well that I guess will help with your armor, your health, or anything like that. And I'm not 100% sure if this is just a bunch of PvP stuff or if you're doing a bunch of missions together with your friends or whatever. I'm not really sure. I haven't really had a chance to actually dive into it. And as of right now, I'm probably not going to. So truthfully, the only thing that really got me to engage with this game was the very, very end. I actually did like the way the game ended. This game did seem a little too tedious. Now the game is easy, granted I did play it on the easiest mode, but like I said, the ending was really the only thing that got me really hooked in, and I don't want to play a game that only gets good when it ends. This game was very hard for me to actually get through. And it only took me 15 hours to get through it, and the only reason it took me so long was because there were locations that took me minutes to actually figure out what I had to do. But the game, all in all, is about a 12-hour campaign. If you go back through and try to complete it 100%, which I don't know why you'd want to, you're looking at about 32.5 hours. But other than the ending, this game is mediocre at best. Most first-person shooters are very similar to this game. I think the only distinguishable feature is, as I said earlier, is the ability to customize your weapons and make them other weapons. For example, rather than somebody dropping a micro SMG, you just make one with your pistol. So like I said, this really isn't a game that I would actually recommend to anyone taking a look at even after 6 years. Yes, this game is 6 years old at the time of recording for this video, and I actually had to Google what the plot actually was because I just did not care about it. Maybe because it's not really a sequel, but a reimagining. Maybe the first Homefront game would be better, but I'm not really sure. I've never played it. So yeah, if you're looking for a new game to play, this game that came out in 2016 is something that you might as well just save your time and save your money. Because this game gets a 3 gas masks out of 10. Alright, here we go. Jack 3. That's like a I don't know if you see. It's like a classic game. Alright, Jack 3.